Chet, each of these three series have kind of tested you, challenged you in different ways, mentally and physically. Big picture, though, what do you feel like you guys have gotten the most out of the 16 games you played?
I feel like every single game gave us a different challenge, a different look, different things to learn from, and I feel like we did a good job as we saw new things as series and games evolved. We did a good job adjusting and continue to kind of play to our stuff.
You guys have had to flex this muscle of having a week between series and not knowing who your opponent is, all that. How much, I guess, better do you feel like you guys are now at handling these types of situations than maybe, in past times where you've had this?
Yeah, just like any other experience that we've had to go through, I feel like we've learned from them and figured out how we can be better for the next time we see that challenge. And this is just another part of the playoffs, another thing that you have to kind of maximize and make the most of, and that's what we're trying to do.
Chet, Dub, after the game the other night, was just saying that he felt Game 7 against Denver was sort of you guys getting over the hump as a team. What have you since changed in terms of confidence or anything since that game? Like, what did that game, that series do for this group?
I don't know. I feel like in the Denver series, we definitely got better and learned from those things. I also feel like every series is so different. You can't kind of compare one series to the next in that way. Like if you switched up the order, I think series would look pretty similar because it comes down to who you're playing. But we definitely learned from that, and I feel like coming out of that, we're definitely a better team, and we just have to continue to do that going forward.
Chet, when you self-evaluate your performance in the playoffs, what have you liked to see most out of yourself?
I wouldn't say I'm at that kind of point of reflection. I'm still kind of looking where I can be better, how I can be better, because we still have games coming up. So, my mindset is more so on what the team needs me to be and become for us to be the best selves that we can be.
Well, can I ask you then, what are some things that you still hope to build on?
Just continuing to read and react to what defenses are giving me in real time, understanding that different teams have different philosophies and want to guard you different ways, guard us as a team different ways. So just kind of being able to read that in real time and not have to wait until after the game to watch the film and be better for next game. But, every game is super important. So just trying to be better and be quicker in those situations so that we can maximize each game.
What do you do when you can't even, get out of bed? Do you binge watch, Ted Lasso or basketball games or read, or what do you do?
No, you wake up, you do what you can, which isn't a lot. You can eat right, and, when I was in that headspace, I didn't really feel like watching basketball. So I'd kind of wake up, go on my phone, eat, and then I would take a super long nap, and then I would wake up and do that again, and then I would go back to sleep. And I had to do that until I could walk, so it was brutal. Brutal.
Like say you guys have gotten used to this long layoff, but does this actually help you because you did a pretty big thing, you won the West, you have time to absorb that, but now also time to maybe move on to the bigger task?
Yeah, obviously that's a challenge in the sport. Obviously you want to be in the moment, be where your feet are, and when you win, that's a special thing. It's not guaranteed in this league. If everybody was guaranteed to win, it'd be a participation trophy instead of a Larry O'Brien. So you have to kind of take it in and understand what you've accomplished to that point. But then kind of the next day you have to start turning the page, get rid of the emotions and start focusing on preparation and what you have to do to, conquer the next step. And that's where we're at.
And also how much does it help Does it help at all you played either one of these teams, Knicks or Pacers, considering you only played them twice, and the playoffs are different? So do you even draw on what you did in the regular season against them, or is it totally a blank slate?
I mean, you have to draw on everything you've done up to this point, not only playing against them in the regular season, but we looked at the regular season as an opportunity to build ourselves into who we needed to be to have a good chance no matter who we play. So less so looking back on what we've done and more so looking forward to what we have to do and understanding that all that work that we did before kind of prepared us for that. So that's the way we're looking at it. And we just have to be prepared and ready to play no matter who's in front of us.
Can you talk about just the kind of vibe or excitement that the team gets when the Thunder fans kind of get into the game, and especially during those down moments, and they feel like they're trying to push the team along? How does that feel for you?
It feels amazing. It's like having a sixth player out there sometimes almost. The only time it hurts is when you're trying to like communicate, and like everybody understands like. You never want to see one of your teammates get blindsided by a screen or something. But when we get to the timeouts, we're talking. We're like, I'm trying to talk to you, but it's loud, and they understand. And that's the only disadvantage I'd say. But the other team has to deal with that too. And on top of that, they're cheering for us, and they're cheering against the other teams. So it's like it's a great advantage to have, and we have the best fans in the world. I can't think of any sport, any arena, any team that has better fans than we do. So we appreciate them, and I look forward to the atmosphere going forward.
Is there a game that stands out the most that may have been the loudest for you that you had to look up and go, hey, what's really happening here?
I'd probably say game 2 against the Wolves, when we kind of had a couple runs there in the third quarter. It was definite in there. Yeah.
Chet, you said around the time that you were bedridden that you didn't feel like watching basketball. Why is that? Did you? I mean, I can only assume. Did you feel like the game sort of like betrayed you almost? Like why didn't you want to watch basketball?
No. I don't know. Just kind of in my headspace. Like I wouldn't say watching basketball. I'd say like watching games live necessarily. You know what I mean? I had to like kind of take a step back. Just for a couple weeks there. But like I was still on YouTube watching like hoops mixtapes and just watching like whatever I felt like searching up at the time, pull-ups and this and that. But live games I had to take a step back for a couple weeks.
Gotcha. And you've mentioned the old Thunder teams before, like as part of your childhood, like resurfacing in this past week or so, like what comes to mind in terms of your viewership growing up of those teams?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a surreal feeling. Again, like with the opportunity we have in front of us, I'm trying not to think about too much outside of what we need to do to prepare to be ready to play and everything. But it's hard not to kind of think back to when I was a kid and I was just starting in AAU. I was in, late elementary school, and, all the kids on the team, all the kids on other teams were on the OKC bandwagon back then. It was like youth's bandwagon or something. Like all the kids were just rocking with them, and they were an electric team. They were fun to watch, and they had players that we all kind of looked up to, and to kind of fast forward and then have this opportunity, it's definitely special. So there's definitely no taking it for granted.
Just follow up. I know a couple of those guys from that team are in the building, but like, have any of the other guys like sort of reached out to you over the past few days, anything like that?
I'd say my private conversations are my private conversations.
Chet, you had talked about the value of having this week and trying to take advantage of it as best as you guys can. What for these last 2 games or last 2 days in particular, just how valuable has the rest been for you guys after 16 playoff games so far?
Man, I can't speak for anybody else, but I've been taking full advantage of recovery mode. So it's been big. Yeah.
Postseason-wise, you got to jump through a lot of hurdles. Is there one particular game that kind of stands out for this team to jump over? Was it Game 4 in Denver, maybe Game 7 against Denver, maybe Game 4 in Minneapolis? What was like the one game that kind of got you over the hump?
I wouldn't say it was one game. I think you mentioned a couple good ones. Game 7 against Denver, Game 4 against Minnesota. Game 7's obviously a win or go home. You don't win that. We're talking about what we got to get better for the summer and, making plans for that. So that's a big game. I feel like we responded really well for that game and played really well. And then Game 4 in Minnesota, obviously it changed the whole series to be up 3-1 versus 2-2 and, on the road, responding from a bad game the game before. So, and I'd say the fashion we won into, that was an electric game. That was going back and forth, down the stretch. People making big plays on both ends, and it was really important for us to kind of be able to do that, and kind of see what we can be in those moments, and this year or going forward, we're going to be in situations like that again. So knowing that we can do it and knowing how to do it is very important for us. So I'd say that's a big game.
Go ahead. Gallo, you got it? Derek, who's got it? Honorary Gallo.
Mark, you all obviously had such a wonderful moment on the court with everybody a few nights ago. Now you've had a few days to kind of digest the Western Conference Finals. What's these last few days been like as you guys kind of get in the mode of trying to get yourselves prepared for what's coming ahead?
A lot of rest, to be honest with you. With the layoff and the run we had coming into this, not only the last series, but the series before that was 7 games in probably 14 days or something like that. So it was a good little stretch there, and we thought the guys would benefit from 2 straight days just to be able to rejuvenate and recover, and now we're back at it today and in the next couple days.
Anything from what you've seen over the last few weeks that you feel like these next stretch of days are going to be critical for you all in terms of making strides and improving the way that you have over the course of the playoffs?
Yeah, we've had this experience now a couple times, playing week, and then the week after Memphis before Denver while we waited for that series to end. So we've had to manage these week-long blocks between series. There's obviously challenges with it, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well, and we've tried to strike the right balance of resting and getting ourselves physically ready for the upcoming series while also staying as sharp as we can, staying in as much rhythm as we can. And we've tried to learn from each time, and we'll try to do the best we can with the week.
Mark, you're obviously getting great play out of a lot of guys. Your 3 top guys have really stepped forward. I'm wondering, Chet specifically, what have you? I mean, obviously defensively he's been really good. Offensively, he's been solid too. But what have you liked most just about what he's brought to the playoffs?
I think him, certainly Jalen, Shea. This is as deep of a run as anybody's made, other than Caruso, and so these are it's more experiences, it's more opportunity to go through high-level basketball and to have to rise to the challenges of a playoff series against quality opponents under high pressure, and they've done a great job of growing through that. But that's the most exciting thing about it is less about what exactly they're doing on the court. It's really not much different from what they do. I mean, they're playing their game, but they're doing it on this stage, and every time you check those boxes and conquer those hurdles, so to speak, you get better and more confident or wiser, if you fall short. And so the experiences are what's best for all those guys.
You've, again, got a lot of guys with a lot of resiliency in their background stories of that. But with Chet having such a recent episode with the hip injury, and, I get the feeling like those on the outside probably don't even appreciate just how serious that was and what he sort of had to go through to rehab. But how do you feel like that through line, and how has that sort of affected him and maybe even trickled over into the rest of your guys?
He's done a great job of handling those situations. He always comes back stronger, certainly mentally, as a result of those. This was no different. This was a particularly tricky one because he's such a high-impact player, and we were having such a great season, despite him being out for a little while, that integrating him back in and him integrating back in was a challenge and could have tripped a wire, and it didn't. He did a great job of just blending back into the team. The team did a great job of allowing that process to take place without judgment and just let it unfold and grow over time. And we've benefited from it as a result because now we're better than we were then. As well as we were playing then, I think we're more complete now and certainly have a higher ceiling as a team now. So in terms of how we can play and the impact we can have. And so it's a credit to the work he did and the rest of the guys.
You mentioned the value of the experiences and the challenges that you guys have gone through throughout this postseason, specifically with Chet, but with the team as a whole. Have you been able to reflect on that Minnesota series and just any hurdles that you guys cleared that are encouraging to you as you move forward here?
I mean, that's a series against a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They were one of the best teams in the NBA from pretty much like March 1st on. So they were playing their highest level of basketball of the season. They have very, very good playoff depth. They go 8 strong, deep with high-impact two-end players. Their coach and coaching staff is quick to adapt, pretty bold, pretty unpredictable. He'll do anything in any situation, and it forced us to be pretty nimble. And so there were tactical challenges in that series. They really made a very strong adjustment between games 2 and 3. Game 3 was a real hurdle, in terms of just the way we performed and where that left us at the end of that game. Even though we were up 2-1, that was we got bloodied up in that game. And so that forced us to respond in a different way. And then being up 2-1 going into a Game 4 on the road and then being up 3-1 going into a Game 5 at home, those are situations we haven't been in this deep in the playoffs. And having to play from ahead of a series. The previous series we had to come back and tie the series a couple different times. And so, that series was really rich for us.
Mark, you mentioned sort of the length of the run and what it did for the confidence of your top 3 guys. With Jalen specifically, he's referenced the Game 7 against Denver a few times as sort of the hump that you guys had to get over. Have you seen changes in his confidence, especially since then, and maybe as a whole this run, compared to last year versus Dallas, for him specifically?
Yeah, I think as a team, as individual players, you have to navigate these competitive waters. You have to have confidence and you have to have wisdom, and a combination of those things. You don't want to be, so wise that you're overcautious. You don't want to be so confident that you're overconfident. You kind of have to hold those two things, the confidence and the urgency, or the wisdom. You have to hold those things in balance. And the experiences help you with both if you internalize the experiences the right way. And the team does a great job of that. Jalen does a great job of that. He's had some great moments that I think have given him a lot of confidence. He's also struggled at different times, which I think have been informative for him. And the thing that is his secret sauce, and hopefully the team's secret sauce, is the experiences are what they are. You do your best, and then the outcomes, happen, and then you have to learn from them, and you have to grow from them. And nobody's done a better job than him of doing that in these playoffs or in his track record.
Yeah, you mentioned the moments where you kind of have to combine the wisdom and confidence. What has Caruso done in terms of before those moments even come? Just helping manage that balance.
To me, it's less about what he says and what his experiences are, and more about he walks the walk. He is just so competitively present in every single moment. He's so engaged in every single moment that if you're around him, it kind of draws you into the moment. It gets your feet on the ground because he's not thinking about anything other than what's going on right now. Whether that's a shoot-around drill, or whether that's having a 10-point lead in the second quarter, or whether that's the other team's got the ball under out of bounds with 4 on the shot clock. Like, he, in all those situations and the other millions of situations there could be, his feet are on the ground and he's fully present. And I think that helps everybody. There's a contagiousness to that, which is why he's just such a impactful 5-on-5 basketball player.
Anyone else for Coach? Go ahead, Kenny.
Coach, obviously this has been a while for the fans that have been back to the NBA Finals. They seem to take pleasure in getting as loud as possible. As a coach, is that anything that you think you've noticed or been surprised with this, how loud they've been during this playoff season? Or as a coach, do you even notice something like that?
I notice it. I mean, the fans are incredible anyways. The energy in the city is great. I've spoken many times about just the encouragement and the support and the positivity that exists in this particular market with this particular fan base and how much that helps our players. But the actual home court, from, I walk out there 3 minutes before the game and everybody's ready to, they're in their seats, they're standing, their T-shirts are on, and then, they not only help you when you're on, a positive run and it's gotten unbelievably loud. They've done a great job, but there was the time in Game 5 in the third quarter when we just didn't really have our footing, and Minnesota was starting to get a little bit of confidence, and it just felt like it felt a little uneasy just with what was going on in the court, and they bring you back. Then they sense that that's a moment where the team needs them, and they get behind the team in those situations. It's not a skepticism. It's like I said, an encouragement and a support. So I can't say enough about the home court. Can't say enough about the fans. We certainly appreciate everything they do for us, and we certainly are going to need them. We have the first 2 at home here. We're going to need them again this week.
Mark, Indiana obviously still on the other side of the bracket. Paul George was a guy that was here when you all – obviously he's the reason Shai's here. What do you remember about Paul and just that whole situation? I know you weren't officially head coach at that point, but what do you remember just sort of the movement that brought Shai here and Paul's time here in Oklahoma City?
I don't really remember much about the trade. It's more I was around training camps, and I was obviously the G League coach when Paul George was here. I mean, just the talent of that guy was ridiculous. Just the way he moved on both ends of the floor, his fluidity on offense and defense. I mean, the way that he made defense look. I mean, he's just like such a graceful athlete, And I say that like with all due respect. I mean, he kind of floats in a way where he doesn't look like he's exerting a lot of effort, and yet he's covering as much ground as anybody. And he did that on offense too, with the ball. And he wasn't here long, but had great years here. I mean, one of the best years of his career here, and one of the best individual seasons players had here, which is saying something, here with the guys they've had. So I have a lot of respect for him, and he was the same guy every day. Good professionalism and good teammate and all that stuff.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.